Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If you're familiar with the spiritual community on YouTube, you've definitely heard this before. It means the information the speaker is presenting shouldn't be taken as something that's quote unquote true unless you run it past your own intuition and it checks out with you. If it doesn't check out, you're encouraged to just leave it where it is because it might be true for someone else. I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about why taking what resonates is actually an incredibly important spiritual lesson. And it's actually, I think, an act of revolution. So there is so much information out here on YouTube, and you're the one who has to decide what's right and what's wrong, what resonates or hits or feels right. And it's great because information wants to be free. And yes, of course, there's still censorship here, definitely. It's still a media company. But if you compare YouTube to the traditional media, where there's lots of power and control and money and fear dynamics around what gets published and what doesn't, and how what gets published gets presented, it's light years better than that. So in the traditional media, you have people whose job it is, including, me, it was my job for years in the media industry, to decide what's right, what's wrong, what's the story, what's the narrative. And that's some of my karma that I'm working through right now. What I think the media really misses, though, is something that we in the spiritual community know very well, and that is what's quote unquote true is very different for everyone. So I would say the media completely dismisses or just maybe doesn't understand the importance of personal choice and free will and intuition and your life experience when it comes to determining what kind of information not only feels right to you, but what will actually be useful and helpful to you on your journey. Truth is malleable, it's subjective, it's different for everyone. It's not just one solid thing that you can present with a bow on it. But people have made a lot of money and gained a lot of power trying to make you believe that not only is truth one particular thing, but that you have to go to sources outside yourself, like the media, in order to find it. This is one of the main reasons why, as we move into the age of Aquarius, the traditional media industry is crumbling. And that power of determining what's right and what's wrong and what's important and what's not is moving back to the people. So we are moving from the 2,000-year age of Pisces, which was all about restriction and control and looking to sources outside of yourself, mainly religion, but also more recently media, to gain truth and validation. And we're moving from that into the 2,000-year age of Aquarius, which is where the power is now going to be much more diffused to all the people. And the validation and the truth that we're seeking is not going to come from any source outside of ourselves. It comes internally and from our connection to spirit. This is a long process. We're not there yet by any means. We're in the middle of it, but it's accelerating and it will continue to happen more and more. As this starts to happen, we're starting to see the old traditional information structures try to shore up their grip on power. And that's why you're seeing more and more propaganda, information that's meant to control and get people to believe or act in one particular way. And much of this propaganda supports and shields the old outdated structures that are also crumbling around us, like patriarchy, capitalism, and colonialism. So while take what resonates might seem like just something that you hear all the time and it sort of gets pushed to the side and you don't really hear it anymore because you hear it so often, you can actually see that it's incredibly important. Believing the information that you believe to be truth and dismissing the information that you believe to be false and not letting anyone tell you the difference is actually an act of revolution. And so many great spiritual revolutionaries have taught us that freedom starts from within. We have to free ourselves from the structures that control our mind and spirit before we can free ourselves from the structures that control us collectively. Witches are a big part of this tradition of spiritual revolutionaries, and we wholeheartedly reject power and control structures, which is one of the main reasons why society is so afraid of us. We are literally a threat to its very existence. I would encourage all of you to really practice when you're out here on YouTube or anywhere in the world where there's information being presented to you, to run it through your intuition, run it through your body. Does it feel right to you? And then trust yourself, follow through. If the information feels right, use it. And if it doesn't, leave it. There's times when you'll feel very strongly that this is information you need to reject, especially when you feel like there's an agenda of power or control behind it. And there's other times when it's more of a, this isn't for me. Maybe it's for someone else. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to use it. No big deal. As you practice this more and more, it will start to become more natural to you. This is one hugely important way that you can take back your power from the structures that are counting on us not to use it so they can stay in power and keep making money.